It's alright, it's okay. There's something to live for. Jesus told me so.
What's up, everybody? Back again with another video review. This time I'm looking at The Mist, and this is my brother Kyle.
Hey.
And today, like I said, we're going to be looking at The Mist. This is a Stephen King adaptation. I've seen this movie before. Have you?
No.
No? Okay. So, I already said I kind of love this movie. We'll get into Kyle's review in a little bit. But, yeah, just hope you like it.
The first thing I liked about this movie, and most of all, was the character development. Whether it be, like, the father who's just a regular guy going to a, store just to do some random shopping after a power outage, becoming this logical leader. Whether it be this mechanic who starts off as this badass, you can't handle me type of guy, becoming this sniveling coward even more and more as the movie progresses, eventually just joining the little cult they got going on in the grocery store. Or, as probably especially the crazy religious woman who's starting off as just like this scared, trying to spread religion woman, turns into this maniacal leader of this, like, cult, trying to kill everyone and, oh, we'll sacrifice them, and that's what God is willing. I mean, it was just really amazing.
I also liked the character development. I liked that these were basic characters, basic kind of caricatures of characters, but throughout the movie they were well thought out, they were distinct enough that by the end of it you cared for a lot of them, you hated some of them, and for the relatively short runtime and how much is packed into this, I thought it was kind of a triumph that they were able to fit that much character development into such a small span of time.
I really liked the aesthetics in this movie. Particularly, I liked when they were in the stockroom, the doors rolling up, and the mist just rolls right in, but it almost like hesitates for me. It almost just pauses. Finally, it rolls in. That was beautiful. The way everything just, people disappeared into the fog. You didn't know where they were, even if it was just for a split second. They showed up on screen next. The way they did that just seemed so eerie and so great. I just found that amazing.
Now, I kind of spoiled it earlier saying I love this movie, but one of the things I really loved was the ambiguity of the whole thing, how you don't know how this happened. Now, there's a scene with the soldier, and he kind of explains it, but he doesn't really. And the thing I love, especially as a Stephen King fan, is that this kind of ties into other Stephen King things. Now, this is not in the movie, but you can read into it a little bit later. But, everything kind of ties together, and this kind of ties into his Dark Tower series, and I really kind of liked that, and I liked that it was left up to the interpretation of the viewer.
I really did like the practical effects in this movie, in particular. When someone got burned, like this guy gets burned in this movie, he really looks like he got burned, and in the stockroom when the tentacles attack the grocery boy and his flesh gets torn off, it looks like his flesh got torn off, and the screams, fit the wound. I just really liked that a lot. I especially liked how the blood kind of trickled off people's heads, or trickled off their arm. It stuck, but it dried just like real blood would. I really liked the practical effects in this movie.
The big thing I loved about this was the theme. Now, I loved it in the novella, and I loved it in here. And each one you kind of came across a different way. But in this one, the whole fact that people trapped together, people that are scared, are going to kind of manifest in, the super ego and the id, and, everything just kind of comes out and bears itself to everyone else. And that was the worst part. You have all these creatures in the mist, and you have all this crazy shit happening, but it's the people that can be really fucked up and scary.
I hated the ending. I mean, it was just me as a person, because I hate, those everyone dies type of endings, but specifically how cliche it was. He kills everyone, trying to give them a good death, not a bad death. Even his own son, he gets out of the car, and, less than a minute later, the army rolls in. Oh, wow, that's a big fuck you to you, dude. I mean, seriously? They couldn't have planned that any better. They show up 1 minute later. Maybe if they weren't trying to cram the movie together, then they would have been able to fit that, with a little bit more time. And it was just, terrible. I hate endings like that, but this one was really bad because, oh no one even cared about him. I mean, it just seemed really weird to me.
And unlike Kyle, I really liked the ending. When I heard this movie was coming out, I heard how they had changed the ending from the book, and I was really skeptical, and I kind of spewed a lot of shit about this movie without seeing it. And then I watched it, and to me it really fit. It was kind of annoying, it was a little trite, the fact that, you know, oh, they show up 1 minute later, and you just saw this thing that was like 500 feet tall, and, you know, a couple army guys with flamethrowers and, like, a tank can apparently not only get rid of the mist, but get rid of all the monsters. And it was a little impractical. But I like the fact that, you know, everyone kind of died and it left you with this hopelessness and this just, like, drained and, because these characters, like I said, you kind of grew with them throughout the movie. So I liked the fact that it was kind of a gut-wrencher of an ending.
Now, I do like the creatures and their design and everything, but the creatures themselves just didn't look like they were there at all. It just looked like obvious CG. It was gratuitous at some points how easy you could tell it was CG. Whether it be the tentacles or the spiders, none of it actually looked like anything was there. The actors gave their best effort. The actors were screaming and they were, looking at it and staring at it and, I'm terrified, but not even that could, do it. It was just obvious that those things weren't there. Not just, they were otherworldly, but they were not actually there.
I also kind of hated the effects in this movie. The practical effects were great. The designs of the creatures I thought were really cool. They basically took ideas that we have in this world and made them strange and, eerie and otherworldly to us. But I didn't like the overuse of CG. When you have a director like Frank Darabont, I know that there's a certain reliance on CG, but I think they could have, given the wealth of practical effects in this movie, I think they could have done more with the practical effects. And I thought the CG did look out of place. It seemed like, despite the actors' best efforts, they just, weren't able to be in the same room with this creature, and with better effects that would have helped out a little bit.
I hated how easily they rushed into the plot. 5 minutes in, there's this storm and everything is going crazy, but you're thinking, okay, well, we're actually going to get some we're going to figure out what's going on with this family. No, they're going to look up and there's some mist rolling in off the lake. And that was the name of the movie. You just knew what was going to happen. And then 50 minutes in, they're in the grocery store, and bam, there's some army guys. Oh man, I wonder if something's going wrong. You need to build up. You need to have some development, and they just had none of it. It was like they were trying to cram it all into one. We need to get everything in quickly, and that was really a bad thing.
And the pacing was a little junky in this one. It starts off really fast, and then it kind of slows down, and fast and slow, and fast and slow. And with all the stuff going on, you expect it to kind of go at a fast clip. But there are times where this is a really just quiet, kind of almost intimate movie. And I think that helps and hurts it in a lot of ways. And this is a pro and a con, but the scope and the scale of it works in a lot of ways and hurts in a lot of ways. I think if you saw even brief, news snippets or anything, and I know from the character's perspective why it was that case, but what was happening outside of this localized area, you could have kind of gotten a size of the scope or scale. The only time you feel that oh shit, this is a huge thing, is when they finally leave the supermarket and they're driving around and they see that giant creature, and then you're just like, what the hell is anyone supposed to do? And the fact that it had spread to other areas. But except for the ending, it really seemed kind of localized, which again helps but also hurts the movie.
So, did I like this movie? Yes, I really like this movie. I like a lot of things by Stephen King, and this one was no different. Despite, its bad points, despite its weird kind of ending and its early kind of opening, I really loved everything about, a lot of things about this movie. I liked how you got this how crazy people were going, and it kind of showed how, oh, when you're in this closed environment, we're all still animals at heart. And I just loved how Stephen King was able to, put that together in the book, and how it was put into the movie. And even though the ending could have done better, I really just liked this movie a lot, and I liked how you were on the edge of your seat, even until the final seconds.
So, like I said, I kind of love this movie. I'm a sucker for Stephen King. I'm a sucker for Frank Darabont. I think he's one of the best directors working right now. You know, and not just Walking Dead. Everybody loves that. But, you know, Shawshank and, you know, Green Mile. Yeah. Just solid movies, whatever you have to say. But The Mist, I think, ranks up there. And I think it's a disservice that a lot of people ignored this movie or kind of, you know, pushed it off to the side. Because I think at its core, it's a really great creature feature. It's a really great tension building, character developing, awesome little movie. And if you haven't checked it out, I would recommend it.
So that's all we got for this one. Hope you had a good time like we did. If you like this video, like it down there. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think about this movie. Please go and see it because we think it's a really good movie. And we hope you do too.
Yeah, and I'll catch you guys later, and thanks for watching.